It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 424. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
Hello.
Grace.
Hello.
Kodra.
Hi.
Tam.
Hello.
And Thalen.
Hey there.
So last week we sort of hinted that we would talk about Theatrhythm this week. So yeah, I guess, Ash, you and Ammo have been playing it, or at least I think Ammo. Game. I think at least Ammo has a copy now. Hopefully,
I do.
It's a rhythm game. It is a Final Fantasy-based rhythm game, the sequel to the one that came out for the 3DS 11 years ago, something like that.
Wow, it was that long ago?
Oh, wow.
Which itself was the sequel to the original that came out a few years before that. They're also bad at naming them. This one is called Final Bar Line, but the one before was called Curtain Call, because it's the last thing. So this is the new last thing, fitting for a series about music from a series called Final Fantasy. But yeah, it is a rhythm game with light RPG elements, I think is probably the best way to put it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, I guess they mostly divide things into like battle tracks and field tracks. Field tracks have you running along, hitting music that sort of comes along in a single line. You may have to move the control stick up and down to like match the way the line's moving, so on and so forth. And battle tracks, which just sort of give you a bunch of things coming at you in 4 lanes. The controls for this game are really, really simple compared to a lot of other rhythm games, in that you either have hit the button, move the control stick, or hold the button, and maybe would move the control stick at the end. And it doesn't care what button you push or what control stick you push. As long as you do the thing at the right time, it's perfectly fine with this.
Yeah, I think it is set up mostly kind of like the arcade version of All-Star Carnival, where like there were like buttons for each line or whatever, and then like you had like a kind of one of those rollerball things for like the field levels. But the Switch is pretty general, or I should say Switch and PS4, right? They don't really care what buttons you hit. Just as long as you're hitting things to the rhythm and you're doing all your little flicks in the right way, you're doing good.
This has been it's been showing me a few things. One, Record Keeper had some ridiculous remixes.
Yes. Like
completely ridiculous remixes. They went very hard on some of that music. And the other thing is, I already knew this one from actually the previous Theatrhythm game. Mystic Quest has an amazing soundtrack.
It really did.
I did not realize that until I played those tracks. And I was just like, oh, wow.
Mystic Quest was way better of a game than it deserved to be for as simplified of a Final Fantasy type experience as it actually was. Like
maybe I should go back and try it again, because I just remember
I had a lot of fun with it back in the day. But it was really just kind of a super simplistic version of Final Fantasy.
It was very linear, and like what I remember of it, and obviously this is like 30 years ago. It was very linear, and like it was, here is an encounter, and you can do that encounter up to 10 times, and then there's another encounter, and you can do that encounter up to 10 times, carry on ad nauseum. And
I just remember it being really short.
I've never played it, and I've been advised not to.
I mean, I was not a fan when I played it, and it was a rental, so it wasn't even I paid how much for this. It just,
well, if I remember correctly, it wasn't even a full
game.
I don't think it was a full price game either. Like, I want to say like it was only $40, and I think at the time, most of the games were like $60.
Had we hit a $60 price point already at that point?
For RPGs?
Maybe.
Yeah, like, I mean, Final Fantasy 2, aka 4, was at least 60. Because like I remember having to save up lots of money to buy that one.
I mean, also Super Nintendo games I only ever rented, so.
I've never played a Theatrhythm game. Like, I own the 3DS copy, but it's still sitting here sealed, and I've never cracked it open and played it. I ended up picking it up somewhere really, really, really cheap, thinking like I might be interested in it, but maybe I need to crack that and at least give it a shot.
I mean, the first game I would call a proof of concept, as it were. It took until the second game for them to get the whole, okay, we should include more songs. We should make these characters feel like they actually are characters and not just skins with abilities and things like that. Curtain Call was a giant step over the first one. This one feels
I
like
think I played.
a smaller step.
Okay, Curtain
I
Call
played
is the one
first
I have.
Curtain Call was a lot of fun. This one is a lot of fun.
I'm gonna have to check this one out because it did sort of bounce off the first one because it felt a little thin on the ground to me.
This one has a perfectly functional standard square. This is basically just the beginning of the game. You can keep your progress demo. They cap you to level 30 and like a certain amount of the in-game. It's not even a currency. It's just you get this progress number goes up.
Yeah.
So they cap that and they cap your character levels for the demo. But other than that, it's the first like 5 stages that you could theoretically play, which are FF7, FF14, FF2, FF5, and 15, I think.
15.
So it's a bit of a representative sample.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'll have to check that out.
The full game also has online multiplayer, which is kind of amusing and neat. If you have bursts turned on, you can basically kind of Tetris attack your opponents with like giant chocobos covering their bars and so on and so forth. So it's really cute. I played some with Sita a couple nights ago and we had a good time trying to survive each other's onslaughts of Moogles and chocobos and stuff.
I will say I've been playing around party composition. It's been kind of funny. The mission structure encourages this because it's things like this mission, characters do double magic damage. So maybe bring a magic party.
Yeah.
This mission, you need to kill Neo X Death within 25 seconds of it spawning. Good luck with that.
Yeah. I've mostly just been like unlocking stuff and I figure I'll go back and work on quests once I have more variety of characters leveled up.
I did luck into liking 2 characters that are good at the same thing.
That's handy.
Red 13 and Bartz. Bartz is very, very good at boosting his own stats, and Red 13 boosts the team stats in return for making everyone take more damage.
That sounds dangerous.
It's fine, just don't miss. No, there have been some where I've like missed like 3 notes in a row and then suddenly have my health bars gone.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising how quickly things can kind of spiral out of control if you just miss something.
On the flip side, you can put together a party of like Yuna and a bunch of healers and summon your way through battles and never worry about dying ever.
I haven't tried that. That sounds like a good one.
When there are quests that are like, clear this on Ultimate, and this is not a song I know terribly well, just bring out that party. It's fine. So, like, while it's definitely light RPG elements, I'm still enjoying it. There's also so much here. So very much.
Oh, and that's not even bringing up the summon stones that have different various factors that can either help you in combat or help you collect stuff or just really cool summons that you might like from all the various games.
Yeah, one of the rare opportunities to see Knights of the Round again.
Yes.
Oh no.
Is it like Chibi Knights of the Round?
Absolutely, yes.
Does it still play for
Incredible.
like 2 minutes?
No.
Oh well.
Aw, boo.
It can't be perfect.
King Arthur and his tunnel of weird.
But it's very cute. It's quite fun. It's a nice nostalgia trip and hearing stuff that I haven't heard in a long time, or in some cases never heard, and it's been very enjoyable so far.
So, Thalen, I'm assuming this card is telling me that you have introduced your son to Princess Bride.
Yep. So to set this up, I recently decided that I should reread The Princess Bride because the book The Princess Bride is also wonderful, and if you have never read it, you should.
You should.
It's one of those cases.
Highly
so basically,
recommended.
yes, it's there are some bits that are a little different than the movie, just for very good reasons, and those bits are also good. And then a lot of the stuff you remember from the movie, it's all the important stuff from the movie is there. Basically, William Goldman wrote The Princess Bride, and there's this whole thing where in the introduction to the book and then throughout the book, he's like maintaining kayfabe that this is actually just him abridging a book that was written by a guy named S. Morgenstern that was totally a real thing that really happened, and this is nonfiction. And also, Morgenstern didn't write it as a rousing adventure book. He wrote it as political satire. And that's why there were like, there's like a 60-page section that was pretty much all about hats that he abridged out. But the all the stuff in the movie with Peter Falk and Fred Savage is kind of the adaptation of that bit of it, because the premise is that like this is a book that William Goldman's father read to him when he was a kid, when he was sick, and then much later he decided to get a copy for his kid. His kid made it through the first chapter, bounced off the second chapter hard, which Goldman didn't understand until he sat down to look at it and realized, oh, my father never read me this 60-page diatribe about hats. No wonder he wasn't interested in that. But so anyway, the book is great. It's a wonderful, wonderful book. You should read it. But having reread the book, I decided I should watch the movie. And so I put the movie on at a time when Francis was sitting, had just finished watching like some YouTube stuff. And he actually got into it, which he doesn't always with movies. We tried to watch Labyrinth today. He wasn't real into it. But like it got to the fire swamp and the ROUS came on screen, and he was just like throughout the fire swamp, he was like getting like more and more into it, like kind of like bouncing around and like getting real excited. And then the ROUS showed up, and he was super into it. And at the end, like the first thing he said after it was over was, "Are there more episodes of this?" So
Aw.
so I guess he liked it. And he thought the rat was really cool, which like that was the part more than anything I was lied by. Like that might be a little scary for him. I don't know. We'll find out. No, the rat was great. But then like the little eyeball lichen in Labyrinth he said was scary. So I don't know. Sometimes I think that's just him trying to like get me to turn the movie off so he could go back to the thing that he wanted to be doing at that moment.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah, he's very good at being manipulative like that. But yeah, the princess, and so we watched the movie and he loved it, and it was a real relief to be able to show him a movie from my childhood and not have to worry about stuff that just does not age well at all.
Yeah.
Because so many movies from our childhood have so much of that.
Our childhoods were messed up.
Yeah, like every John Hughes movie.
Yeah,
Like,
they're all kind of screwed up. Like I have this innate love of them that I can't erase from me, but also maybe no one should ever watch them.
Yeah, like it's not like I'd be trying to show Pretty in Pink to a 5-year-old anyway, but also that movie, yikes.
Yeah, but my spouse and I actually just happened to watch The Princess Bride on Valentine's Day, and it had been a while. And yeah, we had a long conversation afterwards. Like, hey, this was actually quite delightful, and it didn't make me cringe the whole way through. So this is great. Like, put this on the keeper list. It's as good as I remember it.
Yeah, just
in a similar vein, in the vein of media that perhaps has not aged super well, but less bad than I expected, given relatively low expectations. We introduced my kid to Top Gun, which is my dad's favorite movie. And while definitely that movie has some issues, it also has some subtext that I definitely didn't pick up on as a kid.
Yeah, no, I mean...
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in there that'll just go straight over your head as a kid.
Like, man, those dudes are real into each other.
They sure are.
Well, and like it was on television not long ago, and I remember really liking Top Gun as a kid. I don't think it's as good a movie as I remember it being. It's a perfectly fine movie, but like because like my wife had never seen it. I don't know how she made it out of the 80s without ever seeing it, but she'd never seen it. So it was just on. So I kept looking up periodically to watch bits and pieces of it, and it's okay. I mean, I kind of want to dig up Iron Eagle and watch that because it was the designer imposter version of Top Gun, but like I have a feeling it might actually hold up better.
But yeah, like because I was thinking like I don't know, maybe someday probably when he's a little older, it might be a little bit much for him, right now. But maybe someday he might like the Goonies. But then I was like, Goonies has some stuff that doesn't it?
Yeah. I'm with Grace on this one.
Yeah.
Like I loved that movie when I was a kid, but
yeah, like I loved that movie so much, but like I recall like the last time I rewatched it being a lot of times when I was like, oh yeah, that was in here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I watched a few episodes of my favorite cartoon growing up in my like continuing vetting of like what things am I going to show our child. Rocco's Modern Life
is a weird show.
Is a much weirder show than I realized.
I was not allowed to watch Rocco's Modern Life when I was young because I think my mom watched the episode and decided, actually, no.
See, I was in high school when I watched Rocco's Modern Life, and we loved it.
Yeah.
But like it was not a kid show to me.
I watched a lot of that show as a kid, and maybe.
I mean, I think that's another one when, if you're a little kid, like there's a lot of stuff there that just goes straight over your head.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
I mean, it's like, okay. Even taking aside the deeply questionable Looney Tunes episodes, like there's subplot in Looney Tunes that I never caught as a kid.
Oh, or Animaniacs?
Yeah. I think Animaniacs still, for the most part, holds up pretty well. But
Animaniacs was actively trying to do that. So was Looney Tunes, but to a lesser extent, I guess.
I mean, I was in high school by the time I was watching Animaniacs, so I caught at least a fair amount of it.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was gonna say, like, the cartoon I remember watching most growing up was this Sonic the Hedgehog Saturday morning cartoon, and I don't know that I can get that anywhere anymore.
It was on
very difficult.
I feel like that one was on something, and I showed him an episode of it because that you're talking about the one that had. So you're talking about the one that had like the chicken bot and the bot with the treads.
Nope. I'm talking.
Nope, a different one
with the kid that goes into Sonic World or whatever, or Sonic comes into our world.
No, the other one.
The other one, the one where Sonic is a freedom fighter in Knothole doing secret missions into Robotropolis, trying to overthrow the evil Dr. Robotnik.
Oh, so does this have like all the characters that they don't use anymore?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So you're never going to find that anywhere.
It was licensed briefly in Australia, and from what I know, it is possible to find physical, they might even be VHS tapes of the full series via Australian video stores, and that's like it.
Man, I feel like you've now set me on a path to try and find this thing.
It's so little me thought it was so good and was like, oh man, I wish I could play a video game with these characters in it. I want to go on missions with Bunny Rabbit and Rotor the Walrus and Sally Acorn. Eat chili dogs. It was
so what you're saying is they gave random names to all the random animals that you saw in the real game?
So
no,
yes.
Those are actual characters.
No, they're characters from the comics.
From the comics.
Those are also characters from the comics, yes. I think this was like came out a year after the comics got started or something like that.
Probably.
That comic run went for like what, almost 30 years?
The one from like Archie Comics?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Sonic the Sonic comic was that sure was a thing.
Man, I loved it.
Archie Comics would get a hold of licensed properties and just like get weird with them. Like the Archie Comics Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles comic, that was a trip.
It was so wildly different than the Eastman and Liard one.
Like it was more like aesthetically like the cartoon, but then it was doing all sorts of weird stuff with like the turtles get abducted by a giant interdimensional cowhead who takes them off to a planet where they fight in like arena matches, and Raph ends up wearing getting an all black suit that he wears, and also a gun. Very strange.
So you should look up the Sonic Sat AM theme song, which is the intro, because that goes so hard and is so good. And the intro is the story of the intro is that Robotnik has turned a river into a hydroelectric power plant, and the freedom fighters are blowing it up to return the river back to its natural course.
Sounds like anti-capitalist propaganda.
It might be a little anti-capitalist propaganda.
We can't have that.
But what's funny, like I absolutely think a lot of cartoons had elements like that, and they used it as the educational content.
Yeah.
Since all the cartoons had to have something educational in them after a certain point.
Now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
Also, if you're looking for properties to show your kid, we are living in the era of Bluey.
Mm-hmm. Bluey continues to be the very best.
One other nostalgia bomb that sort of held up for me anyway was Willow, and my spouse still doesn't love it, but there wasn't anything super awful about it.
Yeah.
But then they made a series, and we've just started watching that, and that is so much better than it has any right to be.
Yes.
I've seen lots of people saying that it's good, which is
does it follow
nice.
the Christopher Claremont novels?
I'm pretty sure it doesn't, because those were not good.
No, not
those
really.
Are bad. They're very bad.
Because I am remembering that right. It's Christopher Claremont and George Lucas, right?
I mean, yes.
It's really Christopher Claremont.
Yeah, those books are not good. You should ignore them, pretend they don't exist.
And I never read those, but the series, we're maybe halfway through it, and it's just charming and funny. And after having just watched like part of the Game of Thrones prequel and Bound, like more grim, like complicated political stuff, like just watching a bunch of angsty teenagers essentially in like a D&D party just questing around and being angsty was incredibly funny.
Oh my goodness. Have you guys seen the latest clip from the D&D movie?
No, I've not been following that.
It is great. It is the party of adventurers absolutely failing to speak with dead. Because they're allowed 5 questions, and of course, that's very true. It's the sending joke, or the sending joke. How can you make sure you're managing to keep within the limits of the spell?
But yeah, at some point I'll probably show Willow to my kid, but probably not yet, because I think I was 10 when I saw that in the theater, and it terrified the hell out of me. So, like, there's a couple of scenes in there that I think might be a bit much for him.
Yeah, and I will say that the new series, like, definitely kept some of the weird, creepy, sort of organic feeling effects from the movie, which I am 100% here for, but yeah, maybe not as great for little ones.
No, that scene of Bab Morta turning everybody into pigs,
that
just stuck in my brain, and it's horrifying because they just made it look so painful.
Okay, Tam, this one got kicked a couple times because you have been out, but Eastward.
So I think I talked about Eastward on the show some few months back when I first had played it and put like 20 minutes into it, and my the vibe I got from it was like, oh, this is like a cute Zelda alike. If I'd finished it, then it probably would have made my Games of the Year list. It's really good, and it's basically a Zelda light, but it hits all of the things that I really like about your isometric Zelda games. It's you sort of upgrade your stuff as you go, and you get some new weapons that are also tools for you to interact with the environment, and it's got some really clever. It's got, I think, more clever combat than like A Link to the Past does. But it's also this really surreal, charming, probably post-apoc game with just incredible art. Like, it takes a lot for me to see a pixel art game and be like, this is just incredible. And Eastward hits it. Like honestly, it's so gorgeous and just like keeps on getting more creative and gorgeous in this, like, you're wandering through like a charming post-apoc cities kind of deal. So you have these kind of rundown cities, but you still got the billboard ads up, and there's this very lived-in feel to the whole thing, which is super hard to pull off in a pixel art game. And it's just lavish, and then it uses modern graphical tweaks to do interesting stuff elsewhere. And then it's just also a really charming game about you, and you play as this pair of people. It's this sort of like dad-ish figure and this like little girl figure who go on adventures together, and it kind of builds to you're sort of unpacking what's going on in this world, but your adventures are largely not about what's going on in this world. It's like the main thread is this side plot until it isn't, and it's got good characters. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's actually like it's appreciably challenging in places. It's got some really clever puzzles. Like it's definitely, like I said, it definitely would have made Game of the Year last year if I'd finished it then. It might even now. It's just really good. And it's probably like, I don't know, 8 hours more if you're like really exploring.
Might have to check this out. I do like myself some isometric Zelda games.
Like it's super charming. It really does a good job. It does a good job of painting with a really broad emotional palette, which I think is good. Like that's also a thing that's hard. Like it manages to be joyful and fun and sad and ominous and tense and relaxing and all at the same time. Your character's primary weapon is a big pan. Just go around hitting people with a big pan. There's a hilarious. It's got little homages to other games in it because it knows where it's coming from. Other games and other works, and I think that one of my favorites is the like Kurosawa style duel, but it's you with a pan. It does cooking. Like it is very, very stingy. Unlike A Link to the Past, it's very, very stingy with like break a pot, get a heart. And so what it has instead is you cook stuff, and that influences your health and abilities and so forth. I actually think it's a better cooking system than Breath of the Wild. But it's because it's like there's two things, when you're cooking, you get these two different things. You can refill your hearts, and you can get, I don't remember what the game calls them, but basically double hearts. You can like get temporary bonus hearts, and different dishes restore either different amounts of normal hearts or different amounts of temporary hearts, as well as give you temporary buffs, but they're pretty tied to what ingredients you're using, because you can actually kind of tune what it is you want. Do you want a bunch of bonus hearts? Do you want these other things? As you unlock recipes, you can see what they give you.
I really liked that, and Cult of the Lamb had that going on, where you could have temporary hearts that were just above your heart bar.
Yep, this is a very, very similar. Like it's very similar to Cult of the Lamb in terms of just polish. Like very, very different game, but in terms of just playing it and so forth, it's pretty fun.
Is it?
It does have one like unforgivable stealth section, but otherwise, like I had a blast with it. Also, some of the most creative bosses I've seen in a Zelda. Like
so, similarly, I think What the Golf got bumped as well.
Oh yeah. So basically, long story short, I've been traveling for the last 3 weeks, and my game time has been things I can play on the deck easily without burning through the battery, and mobile games.
It's amazing how much of a difference it is to play 2D games on the deck versus playing 3D games in the amount of battery usage it takes?
Well, I mean, what ended up happening was I was like, oh yeah, I want to play a bunch of Forspoken while I'm on this trip. Great. The deck's functional life while I'm playing Forspoken is somewhere between 45 minutes and 70 minutes, which is just like when it's not plugged in, and it's just not conducive to doing that. Whereas I can play Eastward. I played Eastward. I played a bunch of Vampire Survivors, lots and lots of Peglin.
Yeah, you can play like 2D games for like 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah, and it's actually why I picked up Eastward again, because it's one of those. It was just a really low battery draw, and so I could play it for long periods of time when I had the opportunity. But the other game that I unearthed is, because I am frequently putting the baby to sleep. It's like, what game can I play with one hand? And I got What the Golf out, which I'd played. I'd actually 100%ed it, years back, and I love this game. Like, dug it out because I was like, I don't know, whatever, I'll play it again. But they've added a bunch of expansion stuff, like multiple expansion packs, and like a daily weird golf thing, and like, it's Angry Birds. Like, it is the game mechanics of Angry Birds expressed in just a zillion different ways, and it's fun. I'm having fun playing through it again, even though I've 100%ed it, which is super rare for me. Like, I almost never play games more than once, and like, especially if I've completed them. And like, I just put a bunch of time into What the Golf, and like, despite the name, it's a game about golf being boring. Plus, it's just on my phone. It's delightful. I don't know if you can get it anywhere other than Apple Arcade, but if you can, it's worth, like, I have no idea what it costs. It's probably worth it.
Apparently, it's on Steam.
Nice. I mean, just a hilarious, silly little game that I can play when I'm otherwise occupied.
Maybe Switch? Yeah, Switch as well. So, my activity for the week is that I've finally buckled down and got a Skyscale, so I can be one of the people on Flamboyant Flying Friends while waiting on monsters to spawn.
Skyscales are great.
Like it's a lot. I mean, the quest was a lot. It's very
long.
Like,
it's not cheap.
I kept telling myself, well, okay, so that's the piece. Like, I knew the Griffin was expensive. There's a lot of hidden costs in the Skyscale. I would not have wanted to do this before the return to achievements went into the game.
Yeah, those help a lot.
Since that's actually the piece that I'm standing behind right now. I should just do those so I can get that done.
I apparently hadn't gotten my 250 chests in all those zones because for whatever reason, I just didn't hang around in that area. Like, I did a lot. Like, I've been in Living World 5 areas a ton. I just didn't spend much time in Living World 4. So yeah, like I had all those achievements that I could do to get my 250 of an item to get through that phase. Like, I cheated my way through this with Blish HUD. For those who have no clue what Blish HUD is, it's basically like it's an add-on framework where you can, it has its own add-on store inside of it, and you can grab various things. The pathing module is what I utilized, where it basically marked every scale that I needed to collect, and then I just roamed around the zone until I had collected all the scales. Then it marked every egg, and I roamed around the zone while getting all the eggs. I don't think I ever would have had the fortitude to do this without something like that, because I kind of just had it going while I was listening to a book.
I will admit I did this with a map open in my second screen and was just like, I'm gonna path around the zone.
Yep.
I mean, the Guild Wars 2 wiki exists for a reason.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I make use of that?
That's what I had open.
I think the map I had was the Guild Wars 2 wiki.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. I mean, like, the the Blish HUD just throws it in the HUD, like so that you can do it that way. It has a really good marking of the stupid Karkas in Lion's Eye or Lion's Arch, so at some point I will do those too.
Oh yeah,
I did that using Taco. Wow, that was still a thing.
Yeah, like this is basically the spiritual successor to Taco, which was another HUD software. The main difference with this is this just works better because like it's all self-updating and you can grab add-ons without having to fiddle with config files. But yeah, so like I worked my way through this, and actually like it doesn't take that long if you have expendable cash. I thought
true. Almost all the money sinks in this are all time sinks rather can be bypassed by spending money.
Yeah. Well, even that, I think they may have shrunk some of the time sinks.
The time sinks
like they're all like 2 hours now.
Were. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I thought they were days at a time, and I would go off and do stuff, and then Goric would ping me over mail telling me that it was time to come back.
Interesting.
Yeah, each time, each point where you have to wait, it's a 2 hour wait now.
Yeah,
you get a little debuff that like counts down.
So that wasn't too bad. I mean, basically the thing that's still a hard days thing is you need 3 resets to get through the feeding your Skyscale. I just happened to start this before the 6 p.m. reset so that I got 2 in one day. So for me, it was like 2 calendar days to do that piece.
I mean, this is if you're crafting the Skyscale food yourself, right?
Right, yeah. No, yeah. I had all the materials to make the Skyscale food.
Yeah,
I just crafted a bunch of it. You can also buy your Skyscale
from other people to
Yeah, like I mean, it's like I crafted too much, so I absolutely liquidated the extras that I had. Because I mean, like everything in this game, it's pretty stable pricing for stuff. The thing that I thought would break me would be the jumping puzzles, and I successfully completed 14 of them, and I bought my way out of 7 of them because you can use the super pungent bait or whatever. So I crafted 6 of those because you get 1 for free. So I was very thankful that there was a way to buy your way out of frustration.
I did every single one of those.
I'm not shocked.
Because I didn't understand how the bait worked. And so I got to the place and then I just used the bait anyways, and it
Oh man.
I did all of that work for nothing.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah. But this was back before they nerfed Mechanists the first time. And I think it's like you are in the zone that I hate because there's lightning on the ground, and you go to the corner of that and there's a champion.
That thing's awful.
I apparently I could solo that. Mechanists were a problem.
Yeah, Mechanists seriously needed to be nerfed if you could solo that.
I could solo that.
We probably shouldn't talk about the things I soloed before they nerfed Firebrand.
I mean, I can still solo a lot of champions. I
can solo some champions.
Champions, sure. That thing is legendary, and it's an incredibly painful legendary.
Yeah.
To be clear, I could not stand anywhere close to that thing, but yeah.
But you're supposed to have to do because you're in the middle of branded area, and there's a little bubble that you're safe in.
Well, yeah,
and it's also in the bubble.
There was that bubble did not seem. I think that bubble was larger then. But no, I was able to move around like the arena and stay away from it. And basically, the way that fight went was my mech would die, and I would use my ult to resummon it, and then my mech could live for the time it took for my ult to come back up.
Yeah, that was cheesy.
Oh, it was, yeah.
As Ranger, I've noticed that I can basically have infinite pets, and that will get me through a lot of fights. So, like, when my first pet that's been tanking for me dies, I swap to the second pet. And by the time it eventually dies, my first pet's back up. I just keep swapping pets.
I mean, it depends on how awful the thing you're fighting is, but yes.
Yeah, I mean, I am sure, like, if I was not holding my own for the most part, it would be a problem because the pets would die faster than I could summon them.
Yeah, there are absolutely things that will kill that second pet well before the cooldown is up.
But I kind of hate that there's so much behind that mount because it's probably the single best quality of life thing that I've done. Like, it's really good to have because
it's really nice to have.
It erases a lot of frustrations. Like, sure, there's frustrations involved with it because you kind of have to find a path that you can land every so often and get back your altitude bar. But
I mean, it's a very different philosophy of mounts.
Yeah, but like it lets you get to places that you just couldn't easily without chaining other mounts.
Mm-hmm.
But like the thing that I wasn't expecting was how attached to the stupid mount I got.
Yeah, that whole quest line is great. Raising it's kind of like raising Aurene from a bebe. It's the same sort of thing. Like you spend a lot of time with this cute little bebe dragon.
It's my own little Aurene. It's happy to see me. I kind of love the idle animation of throwing a fish every so often.
Depending on the skin you're using, it is sometimes other stuff, and it's very funny.
I've also gotten really close on the beetle. Like I know it's weird that I unlocked Skyscale before I unlocked the beetle or the Griffin. It is weird
because they ask you to do a lot of the same things, and the beetle is way, way shorter.
Yeah, it is. All I need for the beetle is the event that happens in Mood Temple. And what has happened is every time I go there, it's just completed.
Mm.
And all the barrels are already broken. I have to get my timing right. And the event table inside of Blishud doesn't seem to have whatever event that is. So at some point, I will just camp out in Korma and catch it when it's going and get that. Because I think that's the last on the beetle feed. I don't know what's after that.
Beetle saddle, I believe.
That sounds right. But yeah.
Well, I've already made the saddle. I've done 2. This is the 3rd one. I've made the saddle, but PD
I think there are
like
only
me.
3. So
PD didn't like me, and now I have to get PD a special meal. And then I can have a racing beetle.
Yeah, no, that's the last thing. You just need to finish that, and then you will have your beetle, and then you can go drift race with your beetle, and it's a lot of fun.
I've been spending a lot more time on my Griffin lately. The Skyscale is useful. The Griffin is fun. Like once I learned how to use the Griffin, you can go so fast.
Yeah, the Griffin is super fast. You got to get yourself up somewhere high to start out with, and then
I'm on
riding the Griffin around New Kaineng is a lot of fun.
I'm on this step of collecting the eggs, and I've collected all the eggs in a couple of zones, but I had started that one long before I started the Skyscale. I just didn't get super far.
Well, now that you got a Skyscale, you shouldn't have much trouble getting the rest of the eggs.
Like the stupid egg that was at the top of the brand pyramid just ate my lunch because I kept getting knocked off my stupid mount. And I mean, I think at that point I didn't have as much mount mastery as I do now.
I had the Griffin when I was getting my Skyscale, and the Skyscale was much faster with the Griffin.
The step of the Skyscale that cracked me up that I thought would annoy me but didn't was kind of the victory lap around the world, the 28 places that you have to go visit with your Skyscale afterwards with the rental ones.
Yeah, I kind of enjoyed that, actually.
Yeah, like it did feel like a victory lap at that point. Because like it was super easy to get to the rental platforms in the zones, and there was always a rift right beside it. So you didn't even have to fly very far. I don't know. It's been interesting. Like I am happy I did it. I kind of wish I had done it a long time ago, but also like I had to be in the right frame of mind to do that whole process.
Yeah.
And also, I am thankful that, I won the lottery at some point last year and now have money to throw away on things.
Yeah, you do have a lot of money.
I mean, I've spent a lot of it, but on various things. I need to get back on the working on filling out stuff for the guild hall upgrades.
Yeah,
I've been slowly gathering like sand because I don't have that pattern.
Do we need more PvP potions?
Always.
We always need more PvP potions.
Should start doing more PvP again. I haven't been playing lately, but maybe I'll do some more.
The world changes, I think, are largely well received. There was apparently a 4-hour period where the highest gold per hour you could get was through World versus World.
Yeah, I saw that there was a quick patch to that.
Yeah,
the rewards were too good.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's kind of.
What is the highest gold per hour normally?
I don't know, but people were getting like 40 gold an hour doing
World
versus World.
Probably still Drizzlewood. I don't know. I don't keep up with it.
Yeah, no, I try and not leave the free.
People do still do Reba for a reason.
Reba's still good.
Does Reba require that your stats are pretty good though? Like your
No.
Okay.
You just follow the Zerg around.
Yeah, Reba's the biggest Zerg ever.
No, I mean like your luck stat is what
You get such a ridiculous boost for doing Reba.
Mm-hmm.
The answer is no.
Yeah, that's part of why it's so good is because you get a really big magic find boost for doing it.
I mean, you have to buy a lot of shovels.
No, you don't.
Because you follow other people
because
who are shoveling.
Yeah, you're following people
true.
who have lots of shovels.
I did not know you could cheat your way into the final fight with the Skyscale until, I just happened upon the final phase of Reba, and only one of the gates was open, and I just happened to be approaching from the wrong gate, and I just flew over the gate.
That's funny.
I think they mostly aren't concerned about that working or not, because if you participate in one, you get a debuff that prevents you from participating in any others.
Right. Yeah. Right. Most of what I've been doing on a Skyscale is going back and getting mastery points that I left because they were annoying. Okay, I don't know what this topic is other than just a general statement that crabs are good.
Oh man, I'm back on the East Coast where the crabs are good. It's not even that deep. It's just happy to be where crabs are good.
So, last night, a new Diablo 3 season started, and this is a weird season because it's probably the last season that any effort is put into Diablo 3 because Diablo 4 is just about to launch, and they kind of pulled out the stops, but also at the same time, there's a lot of jank in the way that it works. They added something called the Altar of Rights, where you basically sacrifice items to unlock buffs. And one of them that you can get pretty early trivializes the leveling process.
It's fantastic, considering the number of times we've all leveled every season. It's very nice.
But there's some weirdness with that one particular. So if you sacrifice 2 pristine diamonds, I think, whatever the second step up in the gemstones, the teardrop shaped ones, you basically
sounds like a thing you could do super early.
Yeah, you can. Yep. You can do it super early, but it basically removes all level requirements from gear. So you could just equip all gear at that point. The problem is it screws with some of their other systems, like you can no longer use highest equipable because all of these patterns show as level 1 equipable.
Nice.
But also, your follower still follows the regular rules, except that everything when you look at it just says requires level 1. So you have to remember or sort of guess which items that you can try to put on your follower.
You have no clue what level equipable an item is anymore because it just gets changed to level 1 once you've got that trait. There's some other really cool quality of life ones. I just got one that makes it so my pets can like salvage whites, blues, and yellows and just give me the materials from them while running along. So
There's
like
another one where they'll pick up your death's breath also, which is overdue.
and I think there's one that gives you more death's breath. So like it's multiplicative if you're also running the sage set. I have death's breath for days right now because I am running sage set on my enchantress that's following me around. It's interesting. Like this definitely feels like a last hurrah for the game.
And it feels like it also because it was crowded yesterday.
Yes.
When the season started, there was a queue to get in, and like the sort of server overcrowding that I have not seen in probably several years for Diablo 3.
Well, like right now at 9 o'clock on a Saturday night, I've got 12 people playing seasonal characters on my friends list, which is a lot because usually it's only one or two. It was a bad season for me start wise because I am not sure what happened. I was in early in the morning to do the clean out the mailbox thing, and I was having all sorts of problems with the client at that point. And maybe that was just foreshadowing what would happen Friday night. But like, I would open up my bank and my bank would show empty. And then, like a 90s website, the icons for the things would load one at a time in slow order of everything that was in my bank. And that eventually resolved itself. But then, like last night, I was crashing out, I don't know, every 30 minutes maybe, and just hard crashing to the desktop. And I did some stuff, and I think I resolved whatever it is, but I don't know what exactly the problem was, but it seems to be stable now. But like, it was not impacting Grace in the same way that it was impacting me.
No, I had all of the errors and queues and things last night when everything was starting, but I didn't crash out the way that you have.
It didn't continue to be a problem.
It continued to be a problem today, and then I finally I decided I was going to move it to a different drive and then do a force repair once I moved it to maybe kick the game into resolving itself. Because I did the quote-unquote repair, and it went almost instantly. Like, it didn't do anything. And then the second time after moving it, it took, I don't know, 10 minutes to do a repair. So maybe it caught something that was bugged. I don't know. It also was, for whatever reason, defaulting to 32-bit client instead of 64-bit client. So, I mean, it could just be my machine was being weird, but it was a frustrating night of me crashing constantly. But also, like, we made it further in the season than we have in years because of the trivializing of the leveling. Like, a lot of times I will crash out and go to bed around level 40, level 50 maybe. And, I hit level 60, and, Grace, you stayed up and got all the way to 70, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, that was a twofold thing, right? Like, it was very trivial to level, but also I was having enough fun with it to stay until I hit 70. So, yeah, that was good.
The altar has been an interesting dynamic as far as the season goes, because, like, I don't know if, for me at least, I'm paying way more attention to trying to farm whatever my next altar sacrifice is more than I care about the season's journey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to balance it a bit, but it does have to be a balance because the the resources that you need to complete your season journey are essentially the things that you have to sacrifice into this altar, and so will set your progress back a little bit in terms of the journey. For instance, there was one where you had to sacrifice like 20 greater rift keys. So, if you were stockpiling keys so you could run greater rifts, well, you, you have to stockpile some more. And the really big one was the one of the things you have to sacrifice eventually is a challenge rift cache, and that normally is a huge boost to your leveling, and so leveling would have been much faster if we had used those, but it was worth holding on to it because the challenge rift doesn't reset until Monday, I think, and I did use it today, so I would have had to wait until Monday to make any more progress on my altar if I hadn't held it.
But then, like, some of the things that you unlock, you're sacrificing temporary progress for like a permanent boon that you're gonna have from that point on. Like,
yeah,
like there's one that like needed a bunch of bounty cache materials, but it unlocked one that basically made it so that every time you run a bounty now, you get 2 caches. So you're getting like 30 of every material every time you complete a bounty cache. I mean, also going on this weekend, I think, is the open beta for multiplayer in Last Epoch, but I have not touched that. So did any of y'all read about the banning of accounts in Dota?
I did.
I saw that it happened, but I didn't see anything more than that.
So
The only thing I know is what was mentioned on Checkpoint.
It was mentioned on Checkpoint. That's where I saw it.
Yeah, so basically what Valve put a honeypot in Dota where there is a memory register that the game does not use for anything. And there is no valid reason for any process to ever read or attempt to write to that memory register. And they watched every client that tried to read or write from that memory register and have apparently been doing this for a while, and then produced a list of everyone that was doing, basically memory scanning operations looking for, things that they could manipulate, and use this otherwise unused register as just a way to catalog accounts that were doing suspicious things. And 40,000 isn't a lot of accounts at a time. But also, like, it's interesting the way in which they got them.
Nice.
Permanent bans.
Yup. I think they're only Dota bans though. Like, I don't think they're nuking Steam accounts over it. At least that's what it didn't sound like it. It sounded like they're just getting banned from Dota.
It was a very public ban is another thing, and they wanted to make sure people knew they were looking, and they're going to pull as many shenanigans as they can possibly come up with to ban as many people as they can.
Well, there is another thing that I would like somewhat related. I guess there's been a massive issue going on with Tarkov right now and cheaters. And I guess like one of the things that they can do is you can there's some software that the cheaters will run that gives them full visualization into everyone in the map and like what their current stats are, what items they're holding. And the developer for Tarkov hasn't figured out a way to fix it yet. And there was a YouTuber that decided to get the software, but not kill anybody. All he was doing was trying to see who very obviously was able to see him. So he would go like hide in a bush, and he would go find people that he suspected of having the software. And I guess there's like an acknowledgement thing. Like if you're not on the same team, but you're non-hostile, there's some kind of maneuver where you wobble back and forth as a sign of, that you're on the same team. And so he'd be looking at people across the map from him, and they would do the wobble to basically indicate that they were also aware that they could see each other. And I guess it's not anything I'd ever thought of is apparently how prevalent cheating is on online games.
Yeah.
It's pretty constant.
I mean, it's a distributed network where a lot of the compute is not trustworthy.
Yeah. Kodra, what is Super Wagon World?
So, Super Wagon World is a big collaborative project in the Super Mario Maker 2 community of creating an entire Super Mario Maker world. And the idea there is like you're actually like able to put together overworld and whatnot, full of nothing but troll levels that are gonna get their accounts banned. This is like there's a lot of stuff that Nintendo will ban, not ban accounts, but will like delete levels over. Usually glitches that they aren't fixing being introduced in levels that you can then clear. Like there's known glitches where you can put blocks that are not really there. There are known glitches where you can sort of like make enemies appear out of nowhere. There are a few glitches that I have seen where you can soft lock or you can hard lock the game actually, and the only way to exit is to cancel. There was recently a troll level entirely based around this mechanic and trying to make the players avoid getting their consoles hard locked. But the idea is a history of trolling in the Mario Maker community. And it's Super Wagon World, ostensibly based off there is like some lore to it. It's based off of the idea of somebody who got stuck playing a level called Please Just Do Better, which is a notorious level that did not have any glitches or ban-worthy stuff in it, but was a getting over it style level in which you have to go through the vertical level and there's nothing in it that can possibly kill you. But there's a whole bunch of wind and a whole bunch of platforming and a whole bunch of ways to fall back to the very beginning.
Huh.
It was very notorious, very difficult, but they've put together this game, and I've been playing it. So my son has learned about the Mario community at large, understands there are these things called troll levels, wanted to see them. I played some. He finds it very fun to watch Dad play through troll levels. And I kind of get why. Like, it's very fun. Like, these levels are supposed to be funny to watch somebody else play. And so we have a good time playing them together. But yeah, we've been playing it. They have an entire website for this, which is, I think it's like bandwagon.world. Like, look up Super Wagon World and you'll be able to find it. They are coordinating uploads. They had a coordinated upload today where they uploaded the entire thing. You're able to download it onto your Switch and then they'll delete it before Nintendo notices. That's the hope. So we've been playing through that. I have gotten through the first two worlds, which are Garbo Land, a bunch of levels designed to feel evocative of, like the pre-concept of like troll levels where it's like, oh, this is just sort of a terrible level with a bunch of
blocks here, haha.
Yeah, haha. There's like Kaizo Block Goes Ding was one of the level titles. They're still very like it's hard to express. They're very well made hot garbage levels in that they have very surprising like they're gonna constantly try and keep you guessing like or surprising you in funny ways and killing you in funny ways. And then the other level the other world I played is The Oldest Trolls in the Book, which is a bunch of levels featuring, some of like the really classic ones. I'm now into The Dawn of Jank, which is let's say they're not technically considered glitches, but they're definitely doing some things at the peripheries of what's intended with Mario Maker. Like what happens when you get things that behave like let's see what happens when we put something in a clown car. Suddenly it starts vibrating like furiously around the screen. Get things going really, really fast. Trying to send you like helplessly into pits. It's very funny. But yeah, we've been playing it. If you are interested, I recommend playing them. Like they're not like from a technical like playing Mario sense, they're not hard. It's just they're gonna come up with hilarious ways to kill you that you're not gonna expect, and you're gonna sit there and you're gonna be like, this can't, like, how can I possibly die? Like, this isn't how Mario Maker works. And then they're gonna show you how you could possibly die. It's really fun. I'm having a good time. But yes, I also think, Thalen, you should definitely check these out.
Yeah, I'm sure my son would enjoy those. He found some level today that I'm not certain how it worked, but I know there were some like bullet bill cannons involved, but it was like something was vibrating at an absurd rate, and it like shot him across the screen to the flagpole.
Yup.
I have no idea what was going on.
That honestly might be one of the glitches. The half track glitch.
I thought that was the bullet bill in a clown car thing.
I don't think there was a clown car, but I don't know.
The half track glitch creates a track that will also launch things very fast. Although I thought it only launched towards the direction of the start of the level, now that I'm saying that.
So whatever this was it launched him straight to the flagpole.
Awesome. I have also been enjoying trying to optimize your son's levels. I'm very happy that no one has claimed my record on the one, and then somebody really optimized his other level he uploaded.
Oh wow!
And it's a pretty tight world record that I don't think I'm going to be able to beat.
I don't think I've actually seen his. He said he uploaded another level. I don't think I've actually seen it. I'll have to go take a look at it. Yeah, I think at least for a little while, I probably don't still have the fastest time, but I think I had the fastest time on your son's level.
Mm-hmm. My son has been uploading lots of levels. They're definitely in the my first level categories.
Oh, sure.
Of quality. But I'm just really I'm really enjoying all of these big community collaboration projects that are coming out, and they're very fun, and it's very fun to see like I've been watching a lot of people on Twitch playing both Super Wagon World and playing Strawberry Jam, and those have been both very fun.
Also, I've watched my son building levels, and I feel like maybe now I understand to a degree how my parents felt watching me do stuff that like they didn't know how to do, because he's just bobbing around like just super fast, like putting things down, switching to different things. I'm like, I'm old now.
Yep.
I guess I'm old.
Like the thing I can remember that's the equivalent of this is I remember when the Super Mouse Pad thing came out, there was like a music program that allowed you to like compose songs by placing icons. I was constantly making songs, but it was kind of contorted.
Is the Mario Paint thing?
Yep, the Mario Paint thing. It's like I remember thinking that was the coolest thing ever.
That's because it was and is.
People
have come up with programs to let you do some things that the native interface didn't let you do, like add sharps and flats.
Yeah.
And compose the longer tracks on it.
Oh man.
Because I don't remember what the length was, but the songs were really, really short.
There's a whole process now for adding music to your Mario Maker levels. It's nonsense.
We're talking about with note blocks and different, gosh, the music levels people make.
Yes, note blocks all have
pitched
a different
note blocks.
They all have a different pitch depending on what y-axis they are on. And they all have a different sound or like sound quality depending on what is landing on them.
Yep.
So you create these levels where people are moving at a certain rate through the level, such that you are loading in enemies or objects to fall on note blocks, such that you make songs.
Yeah, it gets pretty absurd.
This is how I found out about. I discovered the Ewan Owen, the Toho song.
Ewan Owen was her.
Yes, it's a very good song.
I mean, this is how my kid knows about Undertale, is because boy, people like doing Undertale songs.
Yeah, Megalovania is really fun. I played a really cool Megalovania level that was like trying to simulate the Sun's boss fight. It was hard.
I don't know if it would be good to have a kid play Undertale or not.
Like I mean, currently, I think he would get tired of, bored of it pretty quickly.
That game went dark. Okay, Xenoblade 3 and pulling puzzles.
So I have started playing Xenoblade 3, and
Yay.
I didn't realize what Xenoblade 3 was, because I'm like, oh, it's a JRPG. Sure, that'll be interesting. It's not, it's one of those real-time JRPGs, but more than that, it's a game with a zone that is extremely dense, where you are fighting enemies, and enemies are just pathing around and will absolutely add on you. Yep. It's a giant pulling puzzle.
Yes.
And boy, you better make sure you're pulling the right things, or you're clearing out your patrols, because otherwise you get in a fight with one of the elites there, or the champions, and suddenly discover that, oh no, there are like 5 more things on me, and now I'm dead.
When the music changes, you better run.
Well, the problem is the music changes intentionally, because I'm like, time to fight this big nasty thing, and then some other, like 5 other things are like, why don't you fight us too?
Yeah.
If you already have the really serious music going from a unique, you don't hear the slightly less serious music from an elite adding.
Anyways, it made me appreciate, like, I didn't even realize games with pulling puzzles still existed. But I like, it's a thing of MMOs that I miss, and I'm excited to have a game that lets me experience this again. I wish I could have more things where it's like, okay, how do I like safely work my way through this space?
Play stealth games.
What?
Play stealth games.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those things that fascinates me constantly, that there are people who like pulling puzzles that don't like Thief.
I will say, I don't know if I've played some of Thief 1, and I did enjoy it up until I think a point. I think I actually beat Thief 1, and it was Thief 2 that did me in. Or maybe no, it was you were telling me I should play Thief 2 because I got into the weird parts of Thief 1.
Thief 1 does have weird parts.
I got into the parts where I was not dealing with humans anymore in Thief 1, and that was less interesting to me.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I really like the take a moment and look at the space that you're about to enter, and like come up with a plan to neutralize these threats so that you can hit the thing that you're actually after.
Yeah. I miss doing like dungeon crawls.
The other game series that I think is super good for that is Hitman. Like, even better than like Thief or even Dishonored. I think Hitman is an incredibly good game for like pulling puzzles, sometimes in an extremely literal sense. I sort of understand why they don't exist in MMOs anymore, and I think there's something lost in the poisoned well of more, faster.
See, I would say that they do exist, but not in the places that they used to. Like, New World, for example, most of its outdoor content are all pulling puzzles, because you can't really take all of it at once. So to some extent, there's the breaking the zone moment where you're trying to get things respawning in a more reasonable manner. So you're killing specific things in a specific order so that you can like farm an area, because like once it's broken, you're getting a spawn every few minutes and you can manage that. And I don't know, I don't love stealth games, but like I always did enjoy breaking zones, trying to figure out how to, but also the combat of breaking a zone. Because it wasn't so much the pulling that I enjoyed, it was the momentum of breaking.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to keep at a specific pace in order to kill something before you're getting back spawns that are killing you. I see how you relate that to stealth, but I don't know, there's just something mechanically different to me.
Yeah, I mean, the moment to moment, once you have a plan, the moment to moment of executing that plan is very different.
Yeah.
But that planning part I really enjoy.
Yeah. I do enjoy the planning part, and yeah, I also enjoy, like, I don't know, I like doing it with a group. The group aspect of, like, when, again, I think it's also the when things go wrong is really good in those moments as well. Like, oh no, the pulls are going bad. Let's see, like,
what can we do to change this so that we don't just die?
Yeah, how do we survive? Like, it's not necessarily just you die. Like, some of my favorite moments in MMOs are like, oh, we've overpulled, and now it's like we've got to go from sort of a 1 to a 10 really fast if we're going to survive this at all.
Yeah, but like, it's not sustainable, so you also have to figure out how to kind of de-escalate.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I think is sort of lost in the very streamlined, very, like, snacky structure of a lot of modern dungeons. Like, like modern WoW dungeons, modern FF. Like, I'm honestly, I'm a little over FF14 dungeons because they're all the same.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And like, I think this is honestly
the bosses
like why
are even to the point where, like, the bosses are different, but like I'm there for the music, the visuals, and I'm done.
Yeah. I think this is why I've enjoyed open world stuff a lot more, because in the open world, you know, the spawn rates are often dictated by how many people are in an area. So there's a lot of variables that are moving to change the flow of combat that you don't have in a more sanitized dungeon run experience.
Yeah, like, I wonder if it would even be possible to do EverQuest style dungeons in an MMO again.
I mean, New World did, and it didn't really work.
Yeah, it's fair.
Like, nobody does them because, well, okay, so that's a lie. Everyone did them, and then they decided, oh god, you're getting too powerful too fast by farming these open world dungeons. We got to nerf them to where nobody wants to run them anymore. But yeah, I don't know, like, the Eureka was an interesting concept to me, but the reward wasn't there to go with the tedium.
Did you do the follow-up?
No, I didn't do the follow-up. Is it better paced?
I don't know if it would be now, but it was at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are the open worlds are the ones you were doing for a while before they nerfed them?
Yeah. And they were a blast, like, because it involved us really riding a very sharp edge of, can we control this and be fast enough to keep from getting overwhelmed? Like, when I was doing that priest spawn, it involved us doing terrain hacks where we're basically running across the top of rooftops and dropping down to where we're right in front of a spawn and get there right as it spawns so that we can kill it before a pather comes through that's a zone sweeper. So, like, there was a lot of cool stuff going on in those first few weeks when we were doing that before they ruined it immediately. But it was some of the most fun I'd had in MMO in a really long time, because it had a lot of those older elements of, like, can you control this enough to where it's profitable before it overwhelms you? And it makes me wonder if what a MMO dungeon with roguelike elements would be, to where, like, the spawns are somewhat randomized.
I have long held, like, I would love to have a dungeon experience where exploration could always be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, like, something more akin to, like, a Diablo level where the level is different. I mean, like there's certain patterns in a Diablo level that you can notice, and I'm sure this would have it too, but where the order in which you go through things, what you encounter, is not always going to be the same. Like maybe the final boss is always the same, but like the path in which you get there is different every time.
I bet Warframe's level sorcery would be really cool for that sort of thing.
Warframe levels are constructed a lot like Diablo ones are, out of chunks. So yeah.
Yep. But like imagine something that's similar to the way that exploration mode dungeons work in Guild Wars 2, but where all the paths are different every time you go in. Like I just don't know. I don't know if that would just cater to too small of a niche, though.
Possibly.
Because the people that like to break zones for the first time without a guide is a different group than the people that just want efficient gear.
Mm-hmm.
And like I could do both, but like if I really just want the gear, I just want the gear.
I mean, I was going to say, there are definitely times where I like both of those things.
Yeah.
Like, there's a time and place for both, but it's hard to have both with the same system.
Right.
How many people would say they want more dungeon runs like their first run of Blackrock Depths?
I freaking loved that place the first time I was in there.
Yeah, I did too, but...
Yeah, but it
that,
also took me 5 hours plus.
Right, like I don't have the 6 hours.
Yeah,
anymore.
There's that too. I don't think I could anymore.
But it was such a cool experience the first time.
Man, I kind of wish I got to... The experience I never got, I did get to do like a real blind Blackrock Depths. I never did a really blind Blackrock Spire. Or a really blind Skullmancer Stratholme, and I kind of wish I did.
Yeah.
Like, by the time I got to those, there was already a delineation between live and dead side, although I think we called it Canon and Baron.
Yeah.
And there was already, like, upper and lower spire, although upper and lower spire are pretty delineated by the game.
Argentine was Baron Strath and Scarlet Strath?
Yeah, Baron Strath and Scarlet Strath. That's right.
And the only reason why you ever did Scarlet is if you wanted the enchanting materials.
Yeah.
I mean, the materials for Crusader dropped over there, right?
Yep.
Orbs. Yep. Gotta have orbs.
So many orbs. Well, they dropped out in the world too, but they were way more common in Strat.
And you did Baron to get the best cloak in the game.
Well, the time that I remember super fondly was early TBC, because that's when I shifted to being a tank and learning all of those heroics for the first time with just random groups constantly. Like that was a lot of fun because like nobody knew what any of those things were when I was running them and how to pull like Shadow Lab and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember. At least it wasn't Shattered Halls. I do remember this. I remember being a real, like, I was very annoying because, like, I was a tank and I wanted to make sure, like, if you were a DPS, you were CC first in my eyes.
See, I loved it because CC mattered.
Yeah, like, I remember going in so many times with Thalen and him trapping stuff.
Yes.
Because again, it was like a puzzle game.
Yep,
it was so great.
Because it was like there was a group that we ran with a lot, and it was Thalen and AG and Elnor, but like on her warlock, I think, because like I think we knew her as a warlock for.
I guess my point is, I hope you are not like a Ret Paladin or a
Feral Druid.
Or a Feral Druid.
Yeah, it was real bad if you were one of the DPS that did not have a good CC.
Yeah, like, and rogues were kind of sketchy.
I'm sorry, Shaman.
Yeah, Shaman were not. Nope. Like that was a real problem because the one I'm remembering
because that was pre-frog.
Yeah, what was the one that came out that actually had good gear in it? That was like
Sunwell Plateau,
Sunwell
or whatever the actual dungeon
Sunwell
that
Plateau
Yeah.
was a hard
Magister's
dungeon.
Terrace.
Magister's
Ugh.
Terrace.
That was a
Druids
hard
could
dungeon.
CC, cough, cough, in Magister's Terrace because it was outside.
Warlocks were king in Magister's Terrace.
Warlock Banish was important.
Mages were king in that one too. Oh my goodness! But
that one quasi PvP fight.
The last fight where it's like, here are 5 bosses, and I'm like, I want to have 4 of these CC'd. Well, we're gonna kill the big scary lady first.
But like, okay, that's a prime example of one of these fights that I think we're all kind of talking about, because the order in which you took them made such a difference.
Yes.
Like you could control the tempo of that fight. Like there wasn't a clear answer to it, but your answer was entirely dependent upon what your current group makeup was.
It really was, but I was also like the person who was putting the group together, so I was kind of adding some.
Yeah, but I don't think I ever really put my thumb on the scale when it came to that, because like I went with whoever I had, and so long as I had 2 CCs of some sort, we were gonna make it through there.
Oh man, I had to stop playing my main because I just never got groups ever again.
Yeah.
See, I ran with rogues all the freaking time.
Rogues had sap. And
yeah, like Rylicus was damn good at sapping.
No. So. It's the Redidans and the Shamans. Like, if you were a DPS Shaman or Paladin or Druid, nah.
Yeah, like you got to fit in the swing slot if there was one of those open.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was a DPS Shaman at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, poor Shaman though, like, because really until Cataclysm, they had a bad time in dungeons. Well, I think it was Cataclysm that gave him Frog, wasn't it?
I mean, eventually dungeons stopped caring nearly as much about CC.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like even in Cataclysm, I remember those heroics were rough. Like those required 2 CCs.
You know, it's interesting though. Like for me, it's what I remember from these dungeons. The like harrowing moments was rarely the bosses. It was usually the pulling packs on the way there.
Yeah, the trash was always harder than the bosses.
Dealing with respawns and like
timing of pathers and
yeah.
Can I pull this out this thin crack before the pather gets there and joins?
No, I think Tam, what I really want is I know that I say this and you can say like, oh, there's Monaco, but Monaco really doesn't do it for me. I want a like PvE co-op stealth game. I think Monaco might just be a little bit too fast for me. I want something that's slowing things down a little bit more.
I mean, what you want is the Splinter Cell stealth co-op.
Oh, maybe. Splinter Cell, like, you want to talk about a stealth game I absolutely loved, it was Splinter Cell.
That's real good. I mean, Splinter Cell continues to have, in my opinion, the best small competitive multiplayer. The 2v2 multiplayer was incredible, and the co-op was really, really good.
Well, that was killed by Games with Live going offline, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I was going to say, no, I absolutely believe that what I want is co-op Splinter Cell. That sounds like a blast. Actually, did the new Thief have multiplayer in it?
Nope.
Anyways. Yeah, no, I've dipped my toes into Xenoblade. The first, 2 hours are real wearing the skull emblem on helmet. Are we the baddies? Seems like everything here is terrible.
Everything is pretty terrible. Yeah.
Carrot. I really need to beat that game. I'm so close.
The initial premise is there's a new resource that everyone's competing for, and it's the life essence of everyone else. So you should go and kill everyone to take their life essence.
Aha! Perfectly reasonable.
This might be more on the nose than even Undertale ends up being around experience.
It's not the happiest of games, but even saying that, it is quite grim at the start.
Yeah, and and we have just blown past our normal stop time.
Whoops, sorry.
As will happen when we get nostalgic about dungeon runs.
Yeah.
Anyway, any final thoughts?
New Fallout 76 season starts next week. It's apparently cryptid themed.
Cool.
So that should be cool. And Yakuza Ishin is out. If you want to, play a Yakuza type game set during the Bakamatsu period. If you ever watched Rurouni Kenshin, there's an antagonist / ally named Saito. Saito is loosely based on a real person, and you are playing him in Yakuza Ishin. Sort of. Kind of.
I thought you were playing Kiryu.
You're playing Saito, played by Kiryu. Basically, all of
Does that mean Musashi is freaking what's his face?
There is a character played by Majima, and it is another historical actual person, and I don't remember now their name.
Fair enough.
But it's another Sensengumi. It's your captain. But yeah, it's one of those where like the main characters are based on fictionalized historical people, as like you do, but they're all played by the normal Yakuza characters.
Nice.
And you can race chickens and do karaoke, because that's a thing they had back pre-Westernization. Sure.
Yes, also this week the PSVR 2 came out, and apparently it's getting good reviews, so good luck finding one.
Yeah, Guild Wars 2 next story block comes out this week.
Yep, I'm looking forward to that.
I need to finish season 1.
Yes, I also do. I have been working on it on my Ranger, which was not who I originally started it on, because I decided on the Ranger I wanted to play through all of the content in the correct order.
Yeah, I'm doing that with my my Necro. But yeah, I need to finish the Lion's Arch big fight, and then yes, new Guild Wars 2 story with, I guess it sounds like it's a new section of the Jade Sea. Maybe I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what's going on there.
Yep. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again next week.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you.